What we're going to do is we're just going to practice writing domain and range of a continuous relation in these four formats that we've learned: words, number line, interval notation, and set notation. Okay? So what we have for our relation up here is we have a line, okay, a straight line. Do you notice anything about the endpoints of that line? Maybe I'll zoom in here. See how that dot is open or unfilled? And over here, the dot is closed. Okay? All that means is this line includes all the numbers on the line, including the one in the bottom right here, but excluding the one in the top left. Okay? So that's important to remember. It includes, what's this coordinate down here? 3, -3. It includes that point, but it does not include, what is this? -6, 5. Okay? So we have a line that goes from 3, -3, all the way, everything in between, all the way just up to -6, 5, but not quite exactly -6, 5. It goes everything up to that point, but not including it. Okay? So let's think about domain and range in this case. The domain, we'll use just x and y, so we can label our axes here. X-axis and y-axis, that's pretty standard. Alright, let's think about all of the x coordinates that exist on this line. Right? Well, the highest that it would be 3, and then everything less than that, all the way to here, right? Just above -6. In words, the way we say that is all real numbers from -6, you always write the smallest one first, exclusive, that means we don't include -6, to 3 inclusive, which means we do include 3. Right? Remember, we're just talking about the x coordinates. The lowest one is -6, the highest one is 3. We have everything in between those two numbers, including 3, but not including -6, because there's an open dot. What about the range? Well, the range would be everything from this lowest value here, -3, all the way up to almost 5, but not including 5. Right? So our range would be all real numbers from -3 to, -3 inclusive, because we want to include -3, to 5 exclusive, because we don't want to include 5. So there's our sentence form of domain and range. And apart from set notation, this is probably the most specific type of representation for domain and range. Number line, you're going to have to draw these here on your own. Okay, I'm going to draw a number line that allows me to go from -6 to 3. So I'm going to put, let's just start here at -6, -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. -6, -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. So I want to show all values between -6 and 3. So that's going to look like this. I want to not include -6. So I draw an open circle, which is really thick. Let me fix that. I draw an open circle on -6 because I don't want it to include that point. I draw a closed circle on 3 because I do want it to include 3. And then I draw a line between those points. Okay? Range, all real numbers from -3 inclusive to 5 exclusive. Again, I could draw my number line. And now I want to go from -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I want it to include -3, so I put a closed circle, and exclude 5, so I put an open circle. Draw a line between. Alright, next up is interval notation. Remember, all we need to do for this is we just write the lowest value, -6, comma, the highest value, 3. We don't want to include -6, so what kind of bracket do we put there? Do you remember? A round bracket. We wanted to include 3, so we put a square bracket. Range and interval notation goes from -3, comma, to 5. I wanted to include -3, exclude 5. And lastly, set notation. So, I set up my set brackets. Actually, I'm just going to write the left one for now. Remember, I write variable such that restriction, then the class of number, and then I end my brackets. So first of all, what's the variable representing the domain? X. We just chose that on our own. X represents the domain such that, what's the restrictions on the domain? Well, we see some representations of that up here. It goes from -6 to 3. So X has to be greater than -6. Notice I don't put the line underneath this time because I don't want it to include -6. And less than or equal to 3. Okay, so again, all this says is X is greater than and only greater than -6, and less than or equal to 3. And then what kind of number is it? Well, it's a real number, right? So I write X, epsilon, and then that double line R. There's my set notation. Okay? See if you can write set notation for the range. Maybe just pause it and give it a try. Alright, set notation for range. Set of values that are represented by, what was it? Y. Okay? So we use the variable y such that, well, y is bigger than or equal to -3, but strictly less than 5. So we say it's greater than or equal to -3, but less than 5. And then the class of number, well, it's a real number. So we say y is an element of real numbers.